Stadium at the U.S. Open of 1990. Fourth round match, John McEnroe against Emilio Sanches. In the grandstand, David Wheaton won. Second set was a tiebreak, which he prevailed 7 points to 1. McEnroe leads 2-1 third set. They split the first two. First one in a tiebreak. Sanchez 6-3 in the second.
Players are ready. Quiet, please.
I'm not even hooked up yet. But we can fake it. They've been playing for 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Thank you.
And they're just into the third set. And that does not help John, I don't think, in long haul, as we've discussed before, because he has not played a lot of matches recently. He's probably not match tough. You know, in the first set, McEnroe won 69.1% of the points when he went to net. In the second set, he only won 42%. So he's dropped off, and of course you can give Sanchez some of that credit for the good returns, the good passing shots.
Just got word that the umpire has officially warned Sanchez about his coach's signaling.
He does that. He's notorious for that, Pato Alvarez. He does it for all the guys he coaches. He sits right on the court, and he talks real quickly. I've seen in the last couple of changeovers when Sanchez gets to move over to this side, he talks, and the guy just, gives him a lot of gibberish and this and that and he does it every time. This guy, he's been fined, Sanchez. The Sanchez brothers have been fined for getting coached illegally in their matches.
You think it's a coincidence where he fell into the stands a minute ago? It was right by him.
It's his brother Javier Sanchez sitting right next to him.
Just take another look at that last point. John thinks his ball's going out. He might have had a little bit of a play on. Hits right on the line. He's just mad at himself for letting that ball go. 40-15.
Two games all. Best records in men's singles to U.S. Open. Tilden, Lendl, McEnroe third, 58-9. Then Jimmy Connors.
And little Bill Johnston down. That was the Bill Tilden era. You know, it's so difficult to try to figure out where people fit in the all-time greats. I think history will have to dictate that.
Well, I think it's hard to compare, too, because of the refinements made in the equipment and conditioning.
Right. Well, you know, there's another stat that does not show in that. For years, you had to be an amateur to play in a Grand Slam event. Once you turned professional, you weren't eligible to play. Jack Kramer played Wimbledon, won it in 1947, turned pro. How many times might he have won the U.S. Open?
Rod Laver missed 6 or 7 years.
Rod Laver misses 6. He wins the Grand Slam in 62. Laver and comes back and wins as a pro in 69. In between, he turned pro in 63. He couldn't play until 68.
Pancho Gonzalez never won Wimbledon for that reason.
How about depth of the competition?
More depth now than then, no question about that. Better equipment now.
Go back and check on Dave Steve's effort to pitch a no-hitter against Cleveland. He's gotten through the 8th. They're in the 9th. There have already been 8 no-hitters this season.
2 in one night. Remember that?
And Steve, 3 times in his career has lost no-hitters in the 9th inning.
Some people don't lose any sleep over that either.
Must have been a tough night.
Of course, she doesn't understand tennis because it's been a pretty good match.
Yeah, I'll say.
You know, it appears to me that just a little edge is coming off of McEnroe. He's not quite as sharp as he was. You can't be much sharper than he was in the first set. We take another look here. Now, this volley right here coming up was not a very good one. It's just not really. It's high, it's slow, so it wasn't close to what he was trying to pull off. Made it simple for Sanches.
30-15.
Foot fault called.
You know, that subject of who was the greatest, I asked the great Byron Nelson one time that same question, who was the greatest. Well, I'll get it in a minute. Talent.
40-15.
There's the touch of genius by McEnroe. Sanches cannot see this coming at all. You see, he's on the baseline. Look at him. He doesn't even move. He can't believe what he just saw.
Game to McEnroe. He leads 3-2 in the 3rd set.
McEnroe leads 3-2.
Sanchez is serving at 2-3 in the 3rd. Sets are 1-all. Sanchez in near court. McEnroe the other end. Let's go down to Leslie Visser.
Pat, Ken Farrar went out and spoke to Emilio Sanches, and what he said was that if he is being accused of coaching, to have the umpire give him a warning, otherwise he doesn't want to hear about it. Pat, Ken Farrar, of course, the Grand Prix supervisor.
Thank you, Leslie.
He doesn't want to get scolded. He wants it. If you can prove it, nail him. But as I said, Dana LeConte in the chair, Ken Farrar, everybody knows that Alvarez coaches. And Alvarez shares something with John McEnroe. They've both been thrown out of a match
30
for acting up. Pato Alvarez was a player himself. And evidently, it got to the point where Pato was actually rolling around on the ground with his opponent. He got the hook for that.
There is the 3-step code violation schedule in the Grand Slam rules. You get a warning, then they take a point away, and then you're defaulted.
40-15.
Pato Alvarez's name came up earlier this year when John McEnroe was defaulted out of the 4th round of the Australian Open against Michael Pernfors for obscenities and such. Because Pato and Earl Kushel, all the great hotheads in tennis, were brought up again. And as I said, Pato Alvarez was one of them.
Earl Kushel was thrown out of tennis for life for his behavior at Forest Hills one year, but what he did was like a Cub Scout compared to what the players have done since then and gotten away with. There's a bit of a little mishmash of rules, if you will, because this is a men's event. Grand Slam, ATP, and Grand Slam ITF are different now. They're using Grand Slam rules and regulations for the men's. Women's Tennis Association for the women's. So it's somewhat different rules for the different groups.
all.
15 all. Almost got over for McEnroe.
Sanches is taking the ball early. He's hitting it hard, and it will be a struggle for McEnroe to keep up with that pace. Point after point, volley after volley. McEnroe does not move as easily as he used to. But he must to stay with Sanches. Working so well for McEnroe, popped up on him in that case.
15-30.
And again, it suggests that he's not keeping his body underneath his feet quite as well, not moving as well.
This is the example you're speaking of. Just a little bit lacking now that McEnroe had early. Sanches was able to get to that drop volley. Of course, John has done that drop volley several times now. Sanches starting to look for it a little bit more. Didn't surprise him that time. There again, the first volley, a high volley by McEnroe, had nothing on it, landed on the service line, and let Sanches track it down. That ball should be put away where the guy never even gets his racket on. Here's another look. Watch where McEnroe's first volley lands. On the service line, inside the service line. Sanches gets another swing. And there's John. He should be angry with himself for a poor first volley.
Is there, Tony, such a thing as second wind in tennis?
Oh, sure. I think absolutely.
McEnroe, 31 years old now. Sanchez is 25.
Big break. 4-3 for Sanchez.
US Open.